He further added to the difficulty by saying, if you feel like you need to be on your own for a while, you need to be on your own at one point. A.A. Garten felt a mixture of pride and wonder as she reflected on her adventure. I knew I wanted to do something meaningful. I knew I wanted to be my own boss. Looking back, it seems like it was somewhere between brave and completely crazy, but I'm so grateful I took the plunge. Thanks to her infectious enthusiasm, hilarious anecdotes, and elegant yet homey recipes, Ina has earned the title of the culinary fairy godmother to millions. Unbeknownst to many, though, is a darker, more tragic tale of loss and grief that lies beneath her radiant exterior. Behind the beloved barefoot Contessa's stunning good looks is a courageous woman who has triumphed over adversity, becoming an inspiration to countless people. Examining Ina's childhood in greater detail will prepare us to face the more difficult chapters of her life. Her Jewish parents gave birth to her in Brooklyn, New York. As Ina Rosenberg, she comes from a long line of Russian immigrants. Her grandparents emigrated from before they settled in the United States. From her childhood as the youngest of two siblings, she inhabited Stamford, Connecticut. Charles H. Rosenberg was an accomplished physician and oenologist, while Florence was a housewife. These two extremes had a profound impact on her upbringing. Nutritionist, despite their professional success, the Rosenberg family went through some tough moments. Charles's violent actions threw a pall over the household, making Ina's childhood a difficult one. Reflecting on her youth, Ina Garten came to the realization that despite her determination to succeed academically never wavered, no matter how difficult her personal life got. Unexpectedly, her lifelong fascination with science would inspire her to experiment with food in novel ways. Ina was instructed by her mother, a scholar and opera fan, to devote herself entirely to her studies. Ina frequently claims that her father is a social dynamico, a quality she inherited more from him than her mother, who was more reserved, and so keeps her away from chores and household responsibilities. Her parents came around to her dream of being a chef, even if they were skeptical at first. Because she was so determined, others supported her. Jeffrey Garten was a friend of her brother's at Dartmouth College when she was 15 years old. Her lifetime partner would be him. After finishing high school, A.A. attended Syracuse University for economics before transferring to George Washington University for her MBA. Jeffrey and A.A. tied the knot in 1968, right before Christmas. Before making his way to North Carolina's Fort Bragg, where Vietnam War duty had stationed Jeffrey. Ina discovered solace and fulfillment in the kitchen, experimenting with new recipes and hosting dinner parties, while Jeffrey was abroad serving his 4-year military commitment. Experiences that prompted her to pursue a pilot's license and ignited her passion in French cuisine. She became interested in French cuisine after a 4-month camping trip around Europe with Jeffrey after he concluded his military service. Their stop in France was part of the journey. She also got her first taste of the exciting energy of outdoor markets on this journey. She seized the opportunity because she was preparing for a major event at the time. Since returning to the United States, A.A. has been honing her culinary abilities by poring over Simone Beck's Lousiest Behold and Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Culinary cookbooks. She has started hosting dinner parties on a weekly basis. Custom at the time, and following their 1972 relocation to Washington, D.C., Anna honed her abilities as a hostess. We can trace her rise to fame back to her time working for the president while Jeffrey was a State Department official, and to her time at Johns Hopkins University, where she received a doctorate in philosophy. She ended up becoming a budget analyst at the White House Office of Management and Budget, where she oversaw the creation of the budget for nuclear energy and penned policy papers regarding nuclear centrifuge facilities for Presidents Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford. With the money she made working at Garten decided to study hospitality and cuisine. She also used it to buy and renovate ancient properties in Karama's DuPont Circle. She invested the profits from these real estate acquisitions into her subsequent venture, the Barefoot Contessa Boutique, a gourmet food store. When Barefoot Contessa Garten saw an advertisement for a 400 square foot specialty food shop in West, she decided to leave her job with the government in 1978. She felt after 4 years that working in Washington was challenging and interesting academically, but it wasn't the place for her. After a brief separation due to the stifling effects of their prior arrangement with Jeffrey as head of the house, She and her husband were under the impression that the more independence had strengthened their marriage. She relocated to New York after her visit to the store and frequently put in 12-hour days. In keeping with her idea of a sophisticated yet approachable lifestyle, Garten retained the name of the store, which is derived from a 1954 film starring Ava Gardner. Unduly, Garten did not watch the film until 2006. Garten relocated Barefoot Contessa to a larger facility across Main Street after 3 years. Then in 1985, she took over the former Dean and Ducker Med shop in East Hampton. East Hampton, in contrast to West Hampton's seasonal beach landscape, is home to year-round residents. Resulting in this larger location, Garten was able to increase his company's footprint from 400 square feet, 37 square meters, to about 3,280 square meters, a 7-fold increase. Caviar, lobster Cobb salad, unusual cheeses, and vegetables grown in the area were among the gourmet items offered in the new store. Anna Pump, who ended up purchasing both loaves and fishes, was one of the local cooks and bakers employed by Garten as the business expanded. The Hampton Inn on the Bridge and the specialty food store have received social media praise from Steven Spielberg and other renowned people. She was ready for a change after 20 years at the helm of Barefoot Contessa Garten, so she sold it to her staff Amy Force and Parker Hodges while maintaining ownership of the land. Since she was at a loss as to her career trajectory, she chose to, for a year, she stepped away from her job in the food industry and established an office above the store. She used this time to research the stock market and brainstorm potential future businesses. Her website, Barefoot Contessa, gained a lot of traction in 2003 when she began selling her coffees and other products online. In her film Something's Gotta Give, which starred Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, director Nancy Meyers took an interest in a meeting spot in East Hampton. After the lease expired in 2003, the business closed because the new owner and the previous owner, Garten, couldn't agree on how to revive it. Garten opted not to, but he did retain the land in case it had any future purpose. Renters by the year 2024, the store will be rebranded as Rag & Bone and will occupy the location. In 1999, Gaston shifted her focus to publishing, which marked a new chapter in her career. In 1999, she released the Barefoot Contessa cookbook, which became an unexpected success and elevated the Barefoot Contessa brand. The fact that this book contained the recipes that contributed to her shop's success made it far more than Garten, Clark, and Potter had anticipated. In the first year of publication, Gaston's cookbook sold more than 100,000 copies. When the initial run of 25,000 books sold out, additional copies were promptly manufactured. Both the 2001 release of Barefoot Contest Parties and the 2002 release of Barefoot Contessa Family Style were commercial successes. In 2000 and 2002, the James Beard Awards for entertaining and special occasion cookbooks were also extended to the book and its companion series Parties. When contrasted with other prominent candidates from the culinary world, such as Jacques Peen and Brian St. Pierre, Garten's inexperience hosting parties was shocking. Volumes by Ina Garten, also known for her Barefoot Contessa brand, are iconic for their vivid photography and vivid colors. The use of a large image with each dish enhances its visual appeal and keeps readers engaged. Garten cookbooks have received mostly positive reviews, despite claims that the heavy reliance on images detracts from the detailed instructions and recipes. Colleagues in the kitchen, and one indication of Garten's high reputation in the food industry, is her statement that TV personality Gata Doran counts her among her favorite authors. As evidence of her fame and the success of her cuisine, Garten will have authored 13 cookbooks by 2023, with a combined sales volume of over 14 million copies. The New Yorker once said that her meals are so elegant and complex that they are. The claim that Garten was the queen of tastefully used butterfat in America encapsulates her distinctive cooking approach, in which she frequently incorporates rich ingredients to enhance the flavor of her dishes. Although some replies were negative, concerned that Garten's Barefoot Contessa cookbook contained meat and dairy meals that were high in calories and cholesterol. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine listed it among a discussion over the tension between cookbook authors' responsibility to promote healthy eating and their desire to publish enjoyable recipes, sparked by 5 of the worst nutrition cookbooks of the year. Following backlash, Wall Street Journal writer E.R. Felton supported Garten, claiming that the piece was an assault on dishes beyond lentils. The tension is highlighted by this comment. Lastly, when tackling the how did she advance in her career while enhancing food flavor given the current state of nutrition? Her cookbooks and appearances on Martha Stewart's show catapulted Garten to stardom. After the popularity of her Barefoot Contessa books and parties, she began her own Food Network show in 2012, which marked the zenith of her career. She was asked to appear on a cooking show by Food Network. Garten was unable to manage the huge TV crew and rigorous schedule of Stewart's production firm in 2000, which led to her initial failure to collaborate with them. A London-based production firm called Pacific, best known for Nigella Bites, offered her a 13-episode program with a smaller crew and a more laid-back vibe, and she accepted. After 2002's triumphant premiere of Barefoot Contessa, the season came to a close. Celebrities who know Garten intimately are the most popular guests, but she and her husband and their network of friends are regulars on the show. With over 1 million viewers per episode on average, Barefoot Contessa has helped propel the Food Network to record-breaking numbers. The 2005 season of the show was honoring the greatest service show of 2009. The show and Garten received Daytime Emmy nominations for Best Culinary Program and Best Culinary Host, respectively, in the same year. In the latter category, Garten received her first Emmy that very year, too. To continue hosting her cooking show, Garten also revealed that she has inked a 3-year contract with the Food Network. She reportedly secured a multi-million-dollar agreement for many magazines, making it the most costly arrangement for a culinary author to date. Despite numerous offers to launch her own magazine, furniture line, cookware collection, and retail chain paralleling Martha Stewart's omnimedia Garten, she declined due to she would want that her life remain uncomplicated. At the top of the New York Times bestseller list in 2023, her book Barefoot Contessa Goes to Dinner sold more than 800,000 copies. Garten began her 2022 hosting career on the Discovery and Food Network show Be My Guest, in which she invites celebrities to her house. Her 2006 cookbook, The Easy Way to Cook Delicious Food, catapulted her to celebrity chef status. Press began working on a new venture with her business partner Frank Newold. A novel range of ready-to-eat meals called the Barefoot Contessa Pantry was their brainchild. In collaboration with the renowned gourmet food firm Stonewall Kitchen, this groundbreaking concept was born. The goal of both the grocery store and the Barefoot Contessa Pantry was to provide a more accessible version of Garten's well-known homemade dishes without compromising on quality. A variety of tasty foods were among the things that were on offer, such as tart lemon curd dot, sweet coconut cupcakes, and savory mango chutney, all of which embody Garten's culinary principles. Every product was designed to bring back the warm and fuzzy memories of handmade meals, allowing customers to enjoy those delicious flavors even when they're not in the kitchen. But the high-quality standards meant that these things were more expensive. Lavish amenities. As an example, the idea was to sell brownie mix for $10 a box, promoting the brand as a premium option for eco-friendly vehicles. Only the most discerning shoppers in search of premium cooking materials would purchase these hand-picked items, which were exclusively available at upscale cookware and gourmet stores. She expanded her business and shown her commitment to creating outstanding culinary experiences by allowing her cooking lovers to enjoy their favorite flavors in a convenient pre-prepared fashion at well-known restaurants like Crate Barrel, Soar à la Table, Chicago's Fox and Oval Market Cafe Garden. Her vision for the Barefoot Contessa Pantry collection was to make high-quality food accessible and pleasurable for everyone, even those with hectic schedules. With the success of her previous 3 publications, which featured easy-to-make but mouth-watering recipes, she continues to explore the hot. Barefoot in Paris, her most recent book, cemented her status as a culinary expert and revealed her deep affection for French cuisine. She has also contributed articles to Oprah magazine, where she has discussed party planning and offered advice to readers. She was able to contact more people and provide them with helpful party planning advice as a consultant for the publication. Between 2007 and 2011, she gained fame as a writer for the popular home magazine House Beautiful. In her regular column, she would question if you were seeking guidance, you had to read the Barefoot Contessa. She drew on her extensive life experience to provide insightful and helpful advice in her column, which addressed numerous queries around cooking, hosting, and living. The home and hospitality industries relied on her because of her upbeat demeanor and practical understanding. She also does coaching and writing. As a companion to her books, she created a line of note cards and notebooks to help her readers keep track of her recipes and other culinary inspiration. These artifacts demonstrated her deep belief in the need of passing down family recipes and cherished memories, which deepened her connection with her audience. By penning introductions for famous cookbooks, she helped spread the word about her writing abilities. She demonstrated her support for other chefs and her commitment to promoting great food by accepting presents such as Kathleen King Tate's Bake Shop cookbook and Rory Travato's Dishing with Style. She made an everlasting impression on the modern culinary and hospitality scene with her numerous projects, which continue to motivate home cooks and hosts. Her ability to whip up impressive feasts with little effort was on display in 2005 and 2006 when her recipe for lemon roast chicken with croutons was featured in Best American Recipes. Because it exemplifies her ability to elevate ordinary materials to extraordinary status, this dish has become famous among chefs and foodies. Included in today's kitchen cookbook, which features the most popular recipes, is another one of Garten's favorite meals. Food recipes featured on the Today Show. Her reputation as a go-to for simple, delicious dishes that anybody can make grew stronger as a result. Google featured several of her recipes on their homepage for Thanksgiving 2010, further elevating her reputation in the culinary community. In addition to highlighting her influence on contemporary cuisine and holiday customs, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity brought her greater fame. Garten made her digital debut in June 2012 when she launched a Facebook page to document her culinary adventures and life lessons. In only 3 weeks, she amassed over 100,000 followers thanks to the tremendous response. She clearly had a gift for connecting with her audience of foodies, as her online community grew rapidly around her recipe recommendations. In 2019, she collaborated with fellow author Churn Half to incorporate her renowned potato lucky recipe into the children's book Good Night. Bubala. This thoughtful gesture showcased her culinary prowess and her desire to pass her cherished recipes on to subsequent generations. Many people now adore Garten. The well-known chef's spouse, Jeffrey Garten, has achieved great things in the realms of education and administration. While serving under Bill Clinton as Secretary of Commerce for International Trade, he oversaw several initiatives that encouraged individuals to give cooking a go. During a pivotal period in American economic history, Garten oversaw the establishment of trade policy from 1993 to 1995. From 1995 until 2005, he served as Dean of the Yale School of Management after leaving politics for academia. He is well known for his managerial accomplishments and for his leadership at Yale, which shaped future corporate executives. Jeffrey is a regular on his partner's hit cooking show, where he does a little bit of everything from lending a hand in the kitchen to offering his culinary wisdom to savoring the finished dishes. Their charming banter while she whips up the dishes has won over viewers and highlighted not just their closeness as a family, but also their shared passion for the kitchen. In addition to their mutual appreciation for culinary arts, due to their hectic schedule, the PA spends time at multiple residences. They possess a Parisian property known for its delicious food and picturesque setting, a Manhattan home where they can enjoy city life, and an East Hampton getaway where they can relax and have fun. Their affinity for art, cuisine, and culture is evident in the variety of their living arrangements. Art is Jeffrey Garten's specialty. His political affiliations have always wavered, but he was formerly active in New York's Democratic Party. His large contributions to the presidential campaigns of numerous figures, including Bush, Clinton, Kerry, and Obama, indicate his willingness to support political politicians. A significant technological company and the firm have established a new cooperation. She organized a benefit for Planned Parenthood in 2004 to generate money for the organization's online services. Besides that, she has stayed out of public politics as much as possible in 2024. She told The New Yorker that she doubts she can sway people's opinions. Garten was also a member of the East Hampton Design Review Board, which authorized construction permits and oversaw the town's architectural and design standards. Bringing attention to the district's historically authentic features while maintaining tragic event and her coping mechanisms, fatal obstacles revealed in an interview that, in stark contrast to her tragic family life, she excelled academically in school. But she and her brother were treated badly by their father. In hindsight, the 1950s were a very different era. Parents were there to assist their children emotionally rather than micromanaging them like the majority of parents nowadays do. Her father used the argument that parenting wasn't about love as an excuse for his authoritarian approach, which prioritized compliance above all else. Things got heated since this control went against her great desire for independence. Additionally, she was terrified of her father and recalls instances when she worried he would physically punish her for disobeying him. Fearing for her protection, she sought refuge in her bedroom from the continual threat of violence. She further said, "This lack of connections probably helped shape my growing belief in the importance of connections as I got older." She wanted to maintain her independence and personal space, therefore she was attempting to prevent me from assisting with the cooking. During the interview, her mother's intentions were amplified when she repeated, "turning my room into a shelter." Additionally, she mentioned that she reconciled with her father when he offered an apology in his own unique manner, an apology that her mother had never accepted. "I knew I had messed up when I looked back. Was afraid and lacking courage when I was younger. My personal decisions ran counter to their expectations, but if I had been more courageous, I would have spoken up about it." Because so many individuals make good intentions to change their life, only to revert to their old ways, Ina chose not to live that way. She was hell-bent on preventing that from happening. A new way of life was thrust upon her when she crossed paths with Jeffrey later on. His infectious optimism, warmth, and charisma were the driving forces behind his remarkable change. Because of the stark contrast between her upbringing and the norm of mutual support in this environment, she now feels she was right to act. Neither side is entirely correct, though. A crucial aspect of their connection, whether he was in Thailand or Hong Kong, was realizing how essential they were to one another. Ina had faith that he would prioritize her needs over his own, just as she had done for him when he couldn't have children. To ensure that Ina followed her passions rather than his, he always prioritized her needs before his own. I now disclose a never-before-shared experience of briefly being separated from Jeffrey, a detail I hadn't thought necessary to reveal before due to the nature of my cookbook writing career. Since making this discovery, Ina has often mentioned that she has met women who have struggled to transition from traditional husband-wife roles to a more equal partnership in one of the book's chapters. Looking back to the 1970s, Jeffrey's desire to marry and start a family was crystal evident. Duty, for one, thought it obnoxious that Ina was supposed to cook while he was responsible for the finances. Her words, "I felt the need to stop and get his," make her point quite apparent. Following her initial summer on the job at the shop, AA returned to Washington, D.C., and Jeffrey embarked on a State Department-sponsored 3-month world tour. Prior to his departure, Jeffrey proposed that they remain in their home so he could reflect on his aspirations. Ina suggested that he also reflect on their relationship. Despite their intention to meet up in California upon his return, they both experienced personal development, and Jeffrey seemed to struggle with the idea that, as the spouse, he shouldn't go on long trips. Garten spoke about her relationship with Jeffrey and how they reestablished it over time, forming an alliance rather than adhering to traditional roles. Jeffrey, she said, has always been an unfaltering source of support. According to Ina Garten, he genuinely cares about my happiness, and with him there's no room for conflict. She recalled how Jeffrey approached their relationship from the beginning with a collaborative spirit, always seeking ways for them to thrive together while balancing their individual needs and wants. The story began when Jeffrey was in the military and she was still in school. One moment stood out because she was so focused on it. "I was extremely into the episode," AA recalling the moment when Jeffrey posed the question that would change everything on a TV show about a young woman in New York who lives alone. "The time was 11 a.m. You need to figure out what you want to do with your life," Jeffrey stated as he turned to me. According to Ina, happiness will be out of reach without it. Up until that point, she hadn't really considered her personal aspirations. "I had always dreamed of being married when I was a small kid, and that's what I did. I married an amazing man," she answered. But the words of wisdom from Jeff continued to echo in her mind, urging her to forego the conventional path she had envisioned and instead seek out a life she could truly claim as her own. She was appreciative of Jeff's counsel at that pivotal moment since it altered the trajectory of her life. Reflects on how his encouragement helped her discover her true calling. They laughed it up and told a story that demonstrated how much happiness they had in their everyday lives. Tonight I intend to surprise Jeffrey with a dish of pastio and Greek lasagna, even though he probably believes I'm going to make chicken.